Hey YouTube, Rook here from Rook Geek Goodness, my little channel on the web for all things geeky and cool. Welcome back, guys, to Funko Pop Battle Royale Season 1 quarterfinal matchup, round number 3. This was taking a bit of time to get this video out for you guys. I know I've been pushing the Funko Pop Battle Royale stuff further and further back. Just more other videos kind of been falling in my lap. I wanted to get this out to you guys now. Now this quarterfinal matchup, round 3, pits two Disney properties going head to head. Of course, we have Disney's Goliath Gargoyles versus the Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Walgreens exclusive. Now, if you've never watched a Funko Pop Battle Royale video before, I shoot this sort of a video review segment a little bit differently, and you have some viewer participation at the end of the video. I shoot this video as a review segment series. It's going to be a little different because I'm shooting it because of coronavirus in front of my computer instead of at my studio, like I would normally shoot it. So what I basically do is I shoot this video in an objective-based fashion, meaning I don't let any type of favoritism or bias cloud my judgment of what I review for these particular pops. When I review both these pops here, both the Goliath and the Obi-Wan, which we've seen before in prior rounds of competition, they've moved ahead, that's why they're here right now, I look at it as pure objective. I'm reviewing the pop itself. I'm not reviewing anything else, the character's powers, history, lineage, nothing along those lines. I'm strictly reviewing the pops you see in front of me here. Now, at the end of this video segment, there'll be a section called Cast Your Vote. That's where you, the viewers and subscribers, can make your voice heard. There'll be an eye above my head, which you can click over here at the end of the video. If you think the Goliath, the Disney Goliath, won this round of Funko Pop Battle Royale, select him as your choice. But if you think the Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is a Walgreens exclusive, won, select Obi-Wan Kenobi. So with that being said, let's get both these guys out of package and get into this Funko Pop Battle Royale quarterfinal round matchup. Alright guys, we're in our breakdown segment looking of course at both the Goliath and the Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the very first thing I do in a breakdown segment is look at the packaging and presentation. I always focus on one pop at a time, and that's what I want to do right now. Let's focus right now on the Disney Goliath pop. We reviewed him before. There is some limit source articulation, which we'll talk about when we get him out of packaging. This is just a standard pop back right here, normal size box. We have Disney Gargoyles at the top, number 389. A nice little shot of what Goliath looks like when you pull him out of the package. Goliath right here, nice window box display. Over here is a shot of what he would look like when you would look at the pop itself, number 389 with the pop, which is a surprise, it doesn't have pop animation. I've talked about that before. We have Goliath listed right there. And the back of the packaging is a more dark backdrop, what you would see for Disney's Gargoyles, and all the characters would be available in that particular wave. Now let's transition to Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is a little bit different. Another pop here, Star Wars from the Star Wars line, number 273. Now you may notice over here, this gets a distinct advantage going into this pop battle because it is an exclusive, meaning it's much more difficult getting this pop than it would be getting the Goliath pop. You can find this Goliath pop anywhere that would have sold pops if they wanted to order it. This one was exclusive to Walgreens, their online store itself, maybe through a third party, meaning eBay or Amazon, would be a way you could have gotten this pop. But this is him with kind of the hood drawn up. This would be from, let's say, the prequels. A nice shot right there of Obi-Wan. On the side here, of course, we got Obi-Wan Kenobi number 273. And the back of the packaging, another black background with all the characters that will be available in that particular wave. Like the way he looks. Again, we have the Walgreens exclusive sticker right here. And this is the newer sticker. They have an older sticker, which we'll talk about in the next round of competition, which is the Venom one, which is a much older designed Walgreens sticker. So again, let's look at these guys head to head so you can see what they look like both up close. Goliath has a little bit brighter colors as far as the packaging goes, but of course Obi-Wan has that Walgreens sticker there. From the side, we have this right here. From the words, very similar words. Goliath has bigger text. And the back of the packaging right here, showcasing both backgrounds. Star Wars does have a much darker background. More characters are available in the Gargoyles wave than there was the Star Wars wave. But they only had, I believe, one wave of Gargoyles as opposed to many, many waves of Star Wars. So that's the breakdown segment of the packaging. Let's get both these guys out of packaging and continue the breakdown segment. All right, guys, we have both the Gargoyles pop out of packaging and the Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi out of packaging. And next thing we do, we take pops out of packaging, is look at the paint and articulation. Let's focus first on Goliath like we started with him and go back to Obi-Wan. As I mentioned before, I've done a review for this particular Goliath pop before. He looks very much like he did out of the Gargoyles cartoon back in, I want to say, the late 90s, if I remember correctly, or mid-90s. I could be off. It looks just like Goliath. This is the flesh version of Goliath, not the stone version. He comes in two versions. By day, he's by day he's stone. By night, he's flesh, like this. It looks really, really good. It's a nice big wingspan. He has a little loincloth. Colors look really, really good for Goliath. Deep colors here. You can see the nice black eyes. The wings, again, painted on the back. They're painted in the front too. You can't really tell. There's black shading on the inside of the wings. I didn't mention that before in the other review. There's black shading on the back as well. And he has this nice little curving tail. You see right there. This tail right here curves around the back. The biggest problem we had with Goliath was the articulation. He has very limited articulation. To me, that's a negative because you can't have the same level of articulation as, let's say, the Star Wars pop, which is already limited to begin with the bobblehead. So we'll talk about that momentarily. His head will only turn so far, meaning this head cannot turn past the wingspan you see on the back. You'll see me do it right here. You see I'm talking about. It gets clipped by this wing. You can't move the head more than that. That's technically, I guess, okay, but doesn't give you the full range of motion like a normal pop would normally have. Most bobbleheads, because this is not a bobblehead, this would be a normal pop. Bobbleheads would be Star Wars pops and Marvel pops because of licensing. Even though it's Disney, he is not considered a bobblehead, so if you wanted to know that. So that is Goliath, the flesh version, not stone version. Again, he's stone by day, flesh by night. So that's the sort of gimmick to do with Gargoyles. Now let's move over to Obi-Wan Kenobi in his brown robe. Looks really, really good. Again, he's a Walgreens exclusive. This is him, I would say probably Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith or Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith is where I would say this is at. Probably more, maybe Revenge of the Sith is where this one probably would be, I would assume, but I could be wrong. He has a nice brown robe. He has the Jedi tunic underneath it. It's hard to tell by the light tan underneath it, but he does have another set of clothing underneath his Jedi robe. As you see here, he is a bobblehead. We'll talk more about that momentarily. He does have his blue lightsaber, which looks really, really good. Now, you're probably going to ask me, Rook, does he come off the base? This is the newer version of Star Wars Pops. They do not detach from the base unless you rip them from the base. I have a Chewbacca, holiday Chewbacca, which has unfortunately come off his base because my little kitten decides to play with it and knocked him off his base. Now, it is what it is. I did like the idea of taking it off the stand, but a lot of people didn't like taking it off the stand. That's why I think they probably left it glued and attached to this stand. I think that's the reasoning why, or it could be a reason with licensing with Funko. Maybe, I don't know. But they changed it in the newer waves of Pops where you cannot detach the pop from the stand. That to me doesn't play into as being a strength or a weakness. It just is what it is. If you want to call it a strength, does he have a figure stand? He does, and Goliath does not. I don't know if you want to call that any type of advantage. To me, it really would be an advantage. Now, the biggest negative with this pop, of course, is he's a bobblehead. You can hear it. Come on, Mike. He is a bobblehead. These things get very, very janked up with these springs. You have to go and maneuver the head. Does he have articulation? He would have articulation. This can spin around. If you move with the spring on the head, it can spin 360. So even though it's an annoyance, he has much more articulation than the Goliath pop. So that is, again, it is what it is. So very, very cool pop. If you're a fan of Star Wars, you might want to pick this one up. I do like this version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It does look really, really good. This is a tough call if you wanted to make a choice of which is the better pop. So with that being said, let's go to final thoughts and wrap up this portion of the video to cast your vote. All right, guys, time to cast your vote. Who do you think won this quarterfinal round matchup for round number 3? Do you think it was Disney's Goliath from the Gargoyles line? Or do you think it was Star Wars Disney's Obi-Wan Kenobi? I think, again, for Revenge of the Sith, that's what it looks like to me. It looks more Revenge of the Sith than he does, let's say, Attack of the Clones. That's what it looks like to me. I keep getting the name wrong. I think it'll be a close round of competition between both these pops. Both are good. If you ask me which one is better, it's tough to make that call because they both have their strengths and both have their weaknesses. Again, Goliath having that very, very limited point of articulation to me is definitely an annoyance. Doesn't have any issue stand. Very, very solid figure. If you pick up the entire Gargoyles line, you would definitely need him to finish your collection. As far as Obi-Wan Kenobi goes, it looks very, very good. Again, I think he's more Revenge of the Sith looking from what this design looks like to me. The lightsaber I didn't really mention before. It has sort of like a light piping effect. If you shine a light through it, the entire lightsaber would kind of glow. That's the effect with this sort of see-through crystal they usually do. Him not coming off the base, yes, it is an annoyance, but I can see why Funko has done that sort of idea. They went that particular direction. But I think both these pops are very, very good. Again, it's going to be another stiff round of competition. So if you definitely want Goliath to win, click the eye above my head, select Goliath. If you want Obi-Wan Kenobi, select Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I want to thank everybody who did watch this video. Remember to click the like button at the bottom of the page. Click the subscribe button with a picture of my face. When you subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon to be notified of my latest videos. And of course, last but not least, you can click windows over my head to watch more of my content. Take care, guys. See you next video. And bye-bye.